Welcome to today's Global Connections program. I'm Bill Miller. What is the Dominican Republic doing to focus attention on poverty and the reduction of poverty, illiteracy, and also to look at creating clean alternative energy sources? How will the programs that are adopted by the Dominican Republic be of use not only to the Dominican Republic but also to many countries in the Caribbean and in other parts of the world? We'll be back in just a moment to talk about these and other hot button issues. Today we're focusing on a situation that impacts the vast majority of countries. We're looking at poverty, we're looking at illiteracy, and we're also looking at the alternative energy sources, especially clean energy sources. And our focus will also be on one country in particular, the Dominican Republic. My guests today are Ambassador Francis Lorenzo, who is a Deputy Ambassador from the Dominican Republic at the United Nations, and also Mr. Aristides Fernandez-Zuco, who is the President of the National Energy Commission in the Dominican Republic. When the United Nations came up with the Millennium Development Goals in 2000, they developed these 8 very logical, very practical, very measurable goals that you could track over the 15-year period to see how well countries are doing and how well they're moving forward. Now, as you mentioned, the Dominican Republic was one of 8 pilot projects, which was a tremendous honor. I'm just curious, how did the Dominican Republic get selected for that? I'm sure that there were a lot of factors that went into it, but that's a tremendous honor. Of the 192 member countries of the UN, and probably 160 of them would be working toward, well, we're all working towards the Millennium Development Goals, but how did the Dominican Republic get selected?
Professor Jeffrey Sachs at that time was the one who was in charge of the selection of the countries. Professor Sachs had visited the countries that were selected, and the reason why the Dominican Republic was selected was because, remember, from the year 2000 to the year 2004, we faced a financial crisis, the worst financial crisis that the country had had in the, I would say, in its entire life. But the fact that President Fernandez came very strongly, very supportive of the MDG and made the MDG as a priority in its government, Professor Jeffrey Sachs at that time decided to have the Dominican Republic as one of the pilot country. But of course, when you are one of the pilot country, that means that you need to do a lot of work. It means a lot of work. And there were a lot of challenges that we were having at that time. The fact that we were coming from a constraint from the year, from 96 to the year 2000, we were having one of the fastest growing economy in the entire region. From the year 2000 to the year 2004, we had a constraint and we had the worst financial crisis. So it was a challenge also for the president to come back again and bring the economy to where the economy is now, very stable. As the minister have said, the friendly environment and the legal environment has been created in the country, so the private sector can come back to the country and see the Dominican Republic as an opportunity, not only thinking in the short term, but also thinking in the long term.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And you mentioned the Public-Private Foundation a few moments ago. Who are some of the participants in that? As we kind of talk about energy, but we can also talk about partners in other areas dealing with education or whatever it might be.
The Public-Private Alliance for Rural Development is important because many times rural development, I wouldn't say that is neglected, but we need to pay more attention. And I think that the fact that the UN Public-Private Alliance for Rural Development is emphasizing on SAM enable not only the Dominican Republic but also many other countries to look and welcome many initiatives that they have presented as a model. So at the same time also we can welcome in the Dominican Republic and perhaps maybe find a better alliance, a better partnership with those partners that have been successful in the implementation of those initiatives.